Hey everyone, this is a list of the top 5 best beginner project cars you can actually afford, and today I'm going to go over all of them, explaining their quirks and features, and then I'm going to give them a beaver score. So, you're looking to get your hands dirty, you want to spin some wrenches, and you want to build something that's uniquely yours. But where do you even start? The world of project cars can be intimidating, with endless options and potential money pits lurking around every corner. That's why I'm here today to guide you through the process and highlight some of the absolute best starting points for any aspiring car enthusiast. Now before we get started, it's important to lay down the criteria for what makes a great beginner project car. First, and perhaps most importantly, is affordability. We're not talking about six-figure supercars here. We're talking about cars you can buy for a reasonable price, leaving you with a budget for modifications and, inevitably, repairs. Second is the ease of working on the car. You want something with a simple layout, good access to components, and not a lot of complex, proprietary electronics. Finally, the availability of parts is crucial. You need a car with a strong aftermarket community and readily available OEM or replacement parts, so you're not stuck waiting months for something to ship from halfway across the world. So, get ready, because we're about to dive into 5 fantastic options that check all of these boxes. These are cars that have launched thousands of automotive journeys from driveway builds to full-on track weapons. They are the unsung heroes of the enthusiast world, and one of them might just be your next great adventure. And as we go through this list, be sure to drop a comment down below and let me know your personal pick for the best beginner project car. I'm really curious to see what you all think. Alright, let's just get this one out of the way first, because frankly, it's the default answer for a reason. The first generation NA and second generation NB Mazda Miata. For many people, this is the beginning and the end of the conversation, and it's very easy to see why. These cars are incredibly cheap to buy. You can find a decent running example for just a few $1,000s, which is just an unbelievable value for a rear-wheel drive, lightweight, convertible sports car. It's the classic British roadster formula, but crucially, it was perfected by the Japanese, which means it actually starts every single morning. One of the Miata's biggest selling points for a beginner is its incredible simplicity. Pop the hood and you're greeted with a small, simple 4-cylinder engine with an amazing amount of room around it to work. Everything is logical, everything is accessible. Changing the oil, swapping the spark plugs, even doing a clutch job in your own garage is a totally achievable task for a novice mechanic with a basic set of tools and a few YouTube tutorials. This is a car that was fundamentally designed to be easy to own and maintain, and that philosophy extends to working on it yourself. It's not intimidating, which is a huge factor when you're just starting out. And then there's the community and the aftermarket, which is, without exaggeration, one of the largest and most supportive in the entire car world. You can find anything for a Miata, literally anything. Want to turbocharge it? There are dozens of off-the-shelf kits. Want to turn it into a hardcore track car with advanced aerodynamics? No problem. Need a weird, specific interior trim clip that broke? Someone somewhere is 3D printing them in their garage and selling them for $5. The forums, the Facebook groups, the YouTube channels, the sheer volume of information and available parts means you will never, ever be stuck. It is for all these reasons the perfect blank canvas. Next up is another legend from Japan, but this time from the world of front-wheel drive, the Honda Civic, specifically the 5th generation EG and 6th generation EK models from the 1990s. If the Miata is the king of affordable rear-wheel drive fun, the Civic is the undisputed champion of the front-wheel drive tuner scene. These cars were, and still are, everywhere. They sold in massive numbers, which means today, they are incredibly cheap to acquire. You can find them for next to nothing, sometimes even as a hand-me-down from a relative who bought it new in 1996. The real magic of the Civic as a project car lies in its mechanical simplicity and the interchangeability of its parts, a concept often referred to as Lego-like. The single-cam D-Series and twin-cam B-Series engines that came in these cars are legendary for their reliability and their willingness to be modified. But the coolest part is the sheer amount of OEM plus modifications you can do. You can easily swap in more powerful engines from other Hondas, like the Integra's B18 or even a newer K-Series engine with the right kits. The suspension, the brakes, the interior bits, so much of it can be mixed and matched across the Honda lineup from that era. This creates an incredibly accessible and affordable upgrade path. You don't have to spend thousands on fancy aftermarket brands right away. You can go to a junkyard and pull bigger brakes off an Integra, or a sportier sway bar from a Civic Si, and bolt them right onto your base model hatchback. The aftermarket support is also colossal, rivaling even the Miatas. From body kits to turbo kits to every imaginable suspension component, it's all out there. The Civic is a car that teaches you the fundamentals of car modification in the most budget-friendly way possible, and for that, it's an absolute icon for beginners. Now, for those of you who think sports cars should have their engines in the front, their drive wheels in the back, and a V8 rumble, we turn to an American icon, the Ford Mustang. Specifically, I'm talking about the 4th generation models, which includes the SN95 from the mid-90s and the New Edge Refresh from 1999 to 2004. For years, these cars were kind of the unloved generation of Mustang, which is fantastic news for us, because it has kept their prices incredibly low. You can get a V8-powered Mustang GT from this era for the same price as a beat-up Civic, which is just an insane performance bargain. The appeal here is pretty straightforward: cheap, rear-wheel drive, V8 power. The 4.6-liter modular V8 in the GT models is a robust and durable engine. It might not have made a ton of power from the factory by today's standards, but it makes a fantastic noise and responds very well to modifications. The pushrod 5-liter V8 in the earlier SN95 models is even simpler, a true old-school engine that's been around forever and is incredibly easy to work on. These cars are built with simple traditional technology: a solid rear axle, a simple McPherson strut front suspension. There are no overly complex systems to diagnose or repair. And just like the Miata and Civic, the aftermarket support for the Mustang is, simply put, bottomless. It is arguably the most modified car in American history. Companies like American Muscle and Late Model Restoration have built entire empires just selling parts for these cars. Every single component, from the engine to the transmission to the rear axle to the interior trim, has multiple aftermarket options available at very competitive prices. If you want to learn how to build a classic American muscle car, how to make V8 power, and how to do big smoky burnouts, there is no cheaper or more straightforward entry point than a New Edge Mustang GT. Okay, now we're moving into something with a bit more of a classic European flavor. This is the BMW E33 series, built from the early 80s to the early 90s. For a long time, these were just old, used BMWs, the kind of car a college professor or a yuppie would drive in 1988. But in the last decade or so, they have achieved true cult classic status among enthusiasts, and for very good reason. They represent a time when BMWs were simple, lightweight, analog, and incredibly well built. And while prices have been climbing, you can still find non-M3 models, like the 325i or 318i, for a reasonable project car budget. The E30's appeal is its fantastic chassis and driving dynamics. Even by modern standards, a well-sorted E30 is an absolute joy to drive. It has that classic front-engine, rear-wheel drive balance that makes it feel communicative and playful. Working on them is also surprisingly straightforward for a German car of this era. The engine bays have decent room, the electronics are relatively simple, and the overall mechanical design is very logical. The M20 inline-6 engine found in the 325i is a wonderful, smooth, and durable motor that's a pleasure to work on, and has a fantastic sound. More importantly, the E30 has one of the most passionate and dedicated enthusiast communities on the planet. Because these cars are now classics, every possible issue has been encountered, documented, and solved 1,000 times over on forums like R3 Vlimited. The aftermarket support is also excellent, with specialists like Turner Motorsport and ECS Tuning offering everything from OEM restoration parts to full-blown race car components. People also love to swap engines into these cars, with everything from newer BMW inline-6s to American LSV 8S being popular choices. It's a bit more of a classic car experience than the others, but it's an incredibly rewarding one. For our final car, we're going with something a little different, a little more exotic. This is the Toyota MR2, specifically the second-generation W20 model from the 1990s. This car is often called the poor man's Ferrari, and one look at its styling tells you why. It has the sleek, low-slung profile and, most importantly, a mid-engine rear-wheel drive layout, just like a true supercar. This is a configuration that's typically reserved for very expensive and very complex machines, But Toyota, in its infinite 90s wisdom, made it accessible and reliable for the masses. Now, you might think that a mid-engine car would be a nightmare for a beginner to work on, and yes, it does present some unique challenges. Access to the engine can be a bit more cramped than in a front-engine car like a Miata. However, the MR2 is still a 90s Toyota at its core, which means it's built with incredible quality and reliability. The engines, like the naturally aspirated 5S FE or the legendary turbocharged 3S GTE, are robust and have huge aftermarket support thanks to being shared with other popular Toyotas like the Celica. The community is fantastic at documenting how to perform maintenance, even with the tighter packaging. The reward for taking on the slight challenge of the mid-engine layout is a truly unique driving experience. The handling is sharp, the car rotates beautifully, and you get all the cool intake and turbo noises right behind your head. It feels special in a way that the other cars on this list don't. For a beginner who wants something that stands out from the crowd and is willing to learn a slightly different way of working on cars, the W20. MR2 is an amazing choice. It's a project car that looks and feels like an exotic but has the heart and soul, and running costs, of a dependable Toyota. And there you have it, 5 of the absolute best cars to start your project car journey with. From the simple pure fun of the Miata to the unique exotic layout of the MR2, there's truly something here for everyone. The most important thing is to choose a car that you're passionate about, because that passion is what will carry you through those late nights in the garage when a bolt just won't break loose. These cars prove that you don't need a massive budget or a professional workshop to build something cool and have an incredible amount of fun and learn a ton along the way. So that's my list, but now I want to hear from you. What did I miss? Is there a hidden gem out there that makes a fantastic beginner project? Let me know your picks and your own project car stories down in the comments below. I read all of them and I love hearing about what you all are building in your driveways and garages. Sharing that knowledge and experience is what makes this car community so amazing. Getting your hands dirty and building a car is one of the most rewarding experiences you can have. So I hope this video has inspired you to go out and find your next project. And before you go, if you enjoyed this look at affordable project cars and you want to see more deep dives, car reviews and build updates, be sure to hit that like button and more importantly, click subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss the next video. Your support is what allows me to keep making this content, and I truly appreciate every single one of you for watching. And now, it's time to get back to the garage.